A lot to cover. All right, let's get into this. I'm talking about Roger Stone again. Roger Stone was just sentenced yesterday, I believe. He was given 40 months, which is 3 years and 4 months. And Trump says he's closely watching what's going on. We don't know if he's going to pardon him or not. A lot of people are calling for it. We'll see how that goes. Instead, Trump has recently pardoned a bunch of other people. We'll get into that in a second. Everyone, I was talking about the, impeachment and everybody talking about that. That is still being called for. Day by day, it changes my opinion on what's going to go on with that. Some days I'm like, they're all talk. Other days I'm like, oh, wow, it looks like they're really going to do it. But there's no real steps have moved forward as far as I have seen. So should probably still go on a no about that, but they are squealing and yelling. Also, since the impeachment trial is over, they have called what Trump's actions after that have been called retribution and the just destruction of all justice and modesty and all terrible things. He fired 70 people out of his own administration who were leftovers from the Obama administration, people who were involved in the impeachment case, people who testified against him. All of those people have been fired. Also, one of them was a brother of the one that they're squealing about the most, a guy who testified in the impeachment case. His brother was also fired, and they're saying that that's retribution and evil and so mean because you can't punish the families of people who testify against you. On the other side, Trump has total right to fire anybody he pleases for any reason at whatever time. It's his administration. He needs to get his own goals done. He needs people who can help him do that. That's his choice. So there you go. Senator Lindsey Graham has begun an investigation into Hunter Biden. They have subpoenaed his financial records. I haven't heard any more about that. That happened as soon as impeachment was over, so that's been a little bit now. This is the first time a real investigation has even been started. I think it's probably all going to be quiet until they're done investigating and then they go to trial, and then that'll probably be more public. So that's really interesting, something to watch, and very, very interesting. So Trump has pardoned 11 more people this week. In total, he's pardoned like 26 people in his 3 years in office, which is on track to be the lowest amount of pardons in recent history, although everyone's calling it an abuse of power and egregious and horrible and I don't know any other words they can find to call him. And it's crazy because Obama pardoned 1,200 people, over 1,200 people in his 8 years. So he has a long way to go before you start calling it abuse of power, I think. But it's more they're mad about who he's releasing, which Obama released a known terrorist and pardoned him. So not sure exactly how you can get worse than that. But the one they're talking about a lot is Rod Blagojevich. Rod Blagojevich. I'm not sure exactly how you say the last name. So he was a Democrat governor of Indiana, I think, or Illinois, one of the I states. He has been in jail for 8 years. Trump just released him this week. He did a press release on Wednesday. He was sentenced to 14 years, so Trump almost cut his time in half there by commuting his sentence. I don't think he pardoned him. I think he commuted his sentence, which is different. I think that means instead of erasing your past, it just means, okay, you've served enough time, you can get out now. So anyway, so he was accused of trying to sell Obama's Senate seat when Obama became president. So he declares that he didn't do anything wrong, that he was just doing regular politics stuff, and that they had tapped all his phones and he was like talking to himself and thinking that, he had a really great position and this could affect him, position wise. And anyway, they just crucified him. They did a trial. He wasn't convicted. He was let go. They changed the rules, tried him again, sent him to jail for 14 years. And he's a Democrat. He must have just crossed the wrong person as far as I could tell. He was on Fox News. I listened to him. He seems like a really great guy. He's been taken away as an older man for 8 years from his wife and 2 daughters. It's just horrible. Man, I can't believe this stuff's been going on in the prison. Another one that Trump has talked about recently is a sailor. He was in the Navy or something like that, and he was inside an old submarine, like a 35-year-old submarine, and he took some pictures and sent them to his mom and his brother, and he was sent to jail for a long time. I think they sent him to jail for like over 10 years as well. Trump pardoned him. It was an accident that the submarine was classified, so he wasn't allowed to send pictures of it. But I mean, it was an older submarine, so it's not like he heard anything. Trump was saying like the Chinese and the Russians probably had the schematics of that submarine within the first year of it being made, so it's not like he was like releasing some really important thing, and he didn't do it on purpose, and he wasn't sending it or selling it to anybody. He just sent it to his mom, and he was just like, oh, look at this, it wasn't supposed to be, so he has suffered enough for his mistake. He doesn't need to spend the rest of his life in jail for that. So that guy was released. Since we're talking about people he's pardoned, another high-profile case was that he released Alice Johnson on recommendation from Kim Kardashian and her husband Kanye West. They are really into prison reform, and they met with the president to talk about this. Alice Johnson was put into jail for a nonviolent drug offense, and she had been in jail for 21 years for a nonviolent drug offense. They brought this case to President Trump, and he either pardoned her or commuted her sentence, got her out of jail, and she's brought 3 other cases of women to him saying these women also have very unfair sentencing, shouldn't be in jail, things like that, and I believe Trump pardoned those as well. So he also went to another reason this is all coming up is because he just went to a graduation for a program called Hope for Prisoners, and that is a program done by a man who spent many years in jail, and he came out and he wanted to create a program to help prisoners transition from prison to regular life. So they have one of the best success rates for that program out of any program. A lot of the programs don't work very well. Trump came to their graduation, and he also told all of them that if they knew anybody with unfair sentences, he's really looking into this right now, and he wants their recommendations, but not bad people. No. He wants good people that shouldn't be in there. Trump has passed criminal justice reform, and he's done $400 million in the new budget for drug rehab training programs such as Hope for Prisoners and things like that. Okay, I have 2 minutes left. Let's talk about Steyer a little bit. Steyer's a Democrat presidential nominee, or he's running for that. You probably don't need to know his name. He's polling really, really low. He's a billionaire who's funding his own case. He's not doing terribly well. He wasn't in the most recent debate, so I bet he's kind of over. But he was bragging last debate about how he was an important part of getting rid of private prisons in California. So if I've lived in Redding for 10 years, and there's a huge problem with a lack of prison space in California. And I didn't realize that's because they abolished all the private prisons. So that's where that problem comes from. They had to release a ton of prisoners because they don't have enough room. You have to do something really bad to end up actually in jail because they have to kick somebody out before they send you in. So they're sending all of the criminals that they don't have room for just to Redding and telling them to just, stay in the city and we'll call it good. So the whole city is becoming like a jail. It's a very, very dangerous place to live, one of the most dangerous in the United States. And it's crazy. So we're sending political rivals to jail for 12 years for no reason, nonviolent drug offenders for 22 years in jail, crazy stuff like that. And then we're letting, people who wife beaters and, sexual assault people just go free and just send them to Redding because we don't have room for them in our prisons. And I know a lot of platform is to get rid of private prisons across the entire United States. Some places don't have government prisons. They have entirely private prisons, such as Alaska. They don't have any prisons. So if we get rid of all private prisons, then that's going to ruin everything. The argument is that because it's a private prison, they make money from prisoners. they're feeding into the system, and the reason that we have so many people in jail is because of the private prisons, because they want more people in jail, because they make money off of it. Now, if we wanted to get rid of private prisons, I would recommend building your own prison and using that instead of using the private prisons. Just abolishing private prisons isn't going to fix anything. It makes everything worse. So that's my opinion on that. So we're just letting criminals run around free while we lock up innocent people for life. I haven't heard of anything like this except when I read the Gulag Archipelago. It's crazy. Let's just lock up people for no reason, and then people who should be locked up will be like, oh, we don't have room for you. We don't want to put you in a private prison. Whatever. So we need 4 more years of Trump. It's the only way we're going to be able to fix this. This is crazy. The more I look into this, the more it's like, whoa. So very positive stuff is happening. I wish it wasn't this necessary, but it seems to be a pretty serious problem.